2021, week 2. I'm Susan Gallagher, director of the Women's Clinic, and I want to welcome everybody. I know some of you are brand new because we had a lot more sign-ups even since last week. We're up to 120. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty awesome. Tonight, we're going to talk about shoes. That's our topic. And we have my husband John's going to talk, and also Danny, our Ultra Tech rep, is going to talk. I want to thank Ultra again for supporting this clinic through the seed shoes for the leaders. And also, once again, I would like to thank Features for providing the socks. So again, if you purchased a t-shirt or have not picked up your socks yet, please come and do that. And again, one quick reminder, next week the topic is heart rate. So be practicing taking your heart rate in preparation for next week. So with that, here is John, and he can introduce, well, I'll introduce, come on in. Okay.
I'm John.
I'm Danny.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay. We got a good sized room here tonight. Really happy that everybody's enjoying so far. We got a lot of really good feedback from week 1. We're into week 2. This is a pretty big clinic. And tonight's topic is one of the most important topics to keep out there and stay functional is shoes. And guess what? We sell some shoes. So let's start off with the human foot. Okay? I think everybody's got 2 of these, right? Human foot, we've got 33 joints, okay? Moving around a total of 26 different bones. Over 100 tendons, ligaments, muscles, all that's functioning, okay? We got to protect these. You only got 2 of them, they got to last your whole life, all right? So running and walking, just the impact of your foot coming down and hitting the ground, okay? Walking, it's about 1.5 to 2 times your body weight in force hitting the ground with every walking step, okay? Running, that increases kind of exponentially. It's about 3 to 4 times your body weight coming down, hitting the ground every time, okay? And all this interaction that takes place, I can twist this around. There's movement in the ankle, there's movement in the shin bones, in the fibula and the tibia, okay? And there's side-to-side motion that takes place that helps absorb that shock when your foot hits the ground, okay? That's why we want to wear shoes, correct? Also within each human foot is about 250,000, 250,000 sweat glands, okay? When we run, when we walk, your feet get sweaty quite a bit. To kind of show you that, my magic bottle here, okay? This is how much water comes out of one human foot during 45 minutes of running or walking exercise. Okay? That can be some stinky wet feet, right? Okay, so we want to have good socks. Thank you, Features, for supplying the socks to everybody in the clinic. Okay, socks that are really breathable, allow moisture to move through the sock and get away from your foot. Okay, because blisters really get caused by that wetness and the friction taking place. Okay, so good pair of socks. Also, very breathable shoes. Okay, this good here. So I'll put this up closer to the camera. All these perforations here, okay? Most running shoes are going to be very, very breathable, made of lightweight materials. that are going to breathe, allow your foot to dispel all that heat and dispel all that moisture, okay? So that it's not building up inside the shoe and you're staying nice and cool. Because also when you're exercising, the average temperature of the human foot is about 114 degrees. So there's a lot of heat getting built up there. And then on a warmer, more humid type day, you got all your sweat pouring down your body. Where does gravity take it? All the way down into your shoes. Okay? So, really important to have good socks. Really important to have breathable shoes. From that point, let's move into why we have so many shoes. Why there's so many choices. Okay? Years ago, it was pretty simple. You had usually a nylon, which wasn't really that breathable. Nylon upper on just a slab of rubber. Slab of ethyl vinyl acetate, okay, which was just the cushion material, the midsole material. Things have changed dramatically. And Danny he'll jump in and talk to you about Ultra. But in the last 5 years, there's nothing on our shoe wall that looks anything or performs anything like the shoes 5, 7, 10 years ago. Shoes are far more lightweight now. They're actually more protective and provide more cushion for the most part. Okay? Shoes pretty much last about 300, 400 miles. Okay? Sometimes you can get a lot more wear. This is a pair of shoes that came in. It's got some holes right there. But that's a pretty good signal that you've gotten everything out of those pairs of shoes, okay? We don't want to see this when you bring these in. Okay? That's way past 500 miles. So what we do at the store is, if you can bring your old shoes in, hopefully they're in much better shape than those right there, and we can take a look at the bottom of the shoes and see what your wear pattern is. If you're wearing off a little bit at the heel, I'll use my foot. If you're wearing off like back here at the heel, great. That's where everybody hits as they go forward. What we're looking at the bottom of a shoe then is, after that heel wear, what's the pattern from the heel to toe off? If there's a lot of wear here, so that shows that you're walking and rolling kind of the inside of your foot, that's an indication that we want to get more of a stability type shoe, because there's a lot of movement side to side happening with your foot. Definitely walking and running, we want to be heel toe, within the same plane as much as possible. Once there's a lot of movement around here, too much flexibility in that foot bone's connected to the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone, shin bone, the knee bone, all the way up, okay? So if there's instability at the shoe, at the foot level, that's going to transfer all the way up your leg, into your ankle joints, into your knees, into your hips, into your low back. So we want to protect your whole body with good shoes, okay? Flexible, lightweight shoes, okay? A lot of shoes, you can take this, twist them up. Somebody who needs stability, who wears that pattern on the inside, rolls a lot back and forth, this would not be a good option for them. However, this is a really good shoe for somebody who has a real high arch, a real stiff kind of foot that doesn't move much and just rolls straight forward. Most people need just a little bit of stability, for the most part, we find. And what we work with, as soon as you come in the store, we'll usually ask you, have a seat, take off your shoes, roll up your pants a little bit, and we'll take a look at your foot. Okay? We won't see it like this. We'll see it through a pair of socks. Okay? and have you just walk a few steps and see what happens to your arches. Do they roll in? Do they stay high and stable? Do they roll out? Okay, what does your foot do as you're moving forward, walking down? And then we may ask you to jog a little bit. Taking a look at the foot, the shape, the width, the height of the arch, the height of the instep, all that goes into our knowledge and our experience of what kind of shoes on the wall are going to fit your foot. Okay? So brands pretty much all want to do the same thing. They want to sell their shoes to you. But everybody's got different philosophies on how to protect the foot, how to provide the cushioning and the support. I'll let Danny jump in here and talk a little bit about Altra, since they're one of the sponsors of the Women's Clinic. And in the last 11 years now that Altra's existed, they've kind of introduced a whole new concept into the way running shoes are made.
Sweet. Thank you, John. So yeah, as John mentioned, one of the biggest things that my company that I work for, as well as all the shoes that they carry here, our goal is to allow you guys to walk and run, but do it comfortably and injury-free. As John mentioned, there's different philosophies, and it's not that one necessarily is better than the other. It's just whatever is ultimately more comfortable for you at the end of the day. And that's why I would definitely encourage to come in, get fitted, and see what feels most comfortable for you. For Altra though, what we do differently is, I wish I could say it's science, but it's kind of common sense. We shape all of our toe boxes to the natural shape of your foot. So what that does is allows your toes to spread splay naturally. It's going to create a more stable foundation and allows for your foot to disperse pressure more evenly. We also balance the cushion underneath the heel and the forefoot. Some companies will put a little bit more cushion underneath the heel. Ours is the same amount across the entirety of the shoe. What that does, it balances the weight of the shoe, and that's going to allow your foot to do what it wants naturally. So if you heel strike, great. If you midfoot strike, great. You have the same amount of cushion that you can do it comfortably though. It does also help promote more natural posture and alignment. It's preventing your hips from being out of alignment with your spine, so that's going to help with some lower hip and back issues. It honestly just creates a more upright body posture and alignment. What's really unique though is also our women's specific lasts. Most of the time, women's shoes are actually just shrunken down men's shoes. We will actually change a few of the different proportions of our shoes for women to fit anatomically correct. So slightly narrower heel, slightly longer arch to change where the shoe flexes, just to ensure that women are going to have a much more natural run and walk. So, and we have a variety of different types of shoes and supports. So we have things as natural as like the Ribera, which offers a good amount of cushion, a little bit more flexible shoe. And then we do also have, as John mentioned, a little bit stiffer, a little bit more stability shoe if people need that extra bit of support. So once again, not necessarily that one's better than the other, just depending on what your foot needs, there's an option for it. So.
Okay, so I'm going to run through some options or some examples of brands and kind of best sellers that fit most women and work for most people. Probably the Brooks Ghost is by far our number one shoe. Very solid cushioning all the way through and good toe op. It's got a little bit of a, I don't know if you can see that, a little bit of a sprung toe, thank you. So that it actually allows you to roll forward a lot easier, okay? Probably our next best seller for women's neutral shoes, the Asics Cumulus. Very similar to what the Brooks Ghost is. Also we have the 800 the 880 from New Balance. Those three shoes are going to be real comparable. So when we're working with you, for example, we determine whether you need a cushion shoe, just neutral, not a lot of support side to side, or a stability shoe. What we'll do is bring out probably 3 shoes, one of different brands that all do the same thing. So I could throw out a whole bunch of names or examples, but they're essentially 3 shoes from 3 brands that are all a stability shoe or a cushion shoe or a lightweight trainer shoe, you know, whatever we determine your needs are going to be. Another brand that has really kind of changed things over the last 6-7 years, Hoka. Okay, Hoka One. Most people see it as Hoka 1-1 because that's how it's spelled. But this shoe, as you can tell, really just doesn't bend at all. Okay, and it looks enormous. Looks big, chunky, heavy. This is actually one of the lightest weight shoes on the wall because the foam, the material, the midsole material that Hoka uses actually is super lightweight and allows your foot to sit inside of this. So you're not sitting up on top of everything, you're actually sitting kind of cupped, your heel cupped in there. So you're wrapped around by the midsole, but it's super lightweight. But much like Altra's got a philosophy on movement, Hoka also has a philosophy on movement where it's rolling from heel toe rather than bending from heel toe. Okay, that works out for a lot of people that, number one, want the extra cushioning or have some joint issues in their toes or have had a lot of plantar fasciitis. You know, these are things we'll talk about in another week, the common injuries that runners have. But there's certain shoes and certain brands that will work with your foot and help alleviate some of that, the pain and conditions, bunions, sore toes, hammer toes, things like that. Okay? Yep.
When you put your foot in the shoe, does it feel, I know it's subjective, does it feel like a regular shoe, like the good old shoes, or does your heel feel lower? Because I have like shoes that don't have any like lift in the back, and they feel funny to me because.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, Ultra is kind of what you're asking the question about. I'll have Danny come in.
Let's repeat the question.
So yeah, repeat the question is.
Do they feel the same? Like, does my heel in these shoes feel a little bit higher
Right.
than the rest of my foot? And I have a pair of sneakers that where my foot is flatter, and to me it feels funny. I don't run in them. I just kind of walk, you know, just do my daily business in them. But I
Okay.
think it would feel odd, and I've stayed away from Hokas because they look odd to me. So does that feel the same? Or
Question is about other brands, either Ultra or Hoka, where the heel drop is a little bit lower or significantly lower than their traditional shoes. Hoka uses a drop between the heel and the forefoot of about 4 to 6 millimeters, where Ultra, everything that they do is level cushioning. The heel and the forefoot are at the same level. So initially, if you've been in your traditional type running shoes for decades, like myself, you put on a Hoka or you put on an Ultra, yeah, it's going to feel a little bit different right off the bat because you're used to having, I'll use this New Balance as an example, the heel is a little bit higher than the forefoot. This one actually is about 10 millimeters higher in the back, okay? So this naturally is going to allow your foot to absorb the cushioning at the heel, but also feel like you're raised up a little bit in the back. Where some of the newer technologies and newer brands are saying, no, wait a minute, when you're barefoot, you know, naturally, there's no difference between the heel and the forefoot of your actual foot, why should we put the shoe and tilt you forward? So I'll let Danny jump in, because there's a whole lot of philosophy that Altra's put into it that other brands are actually mimicking.
Right, and so, it once again goes back to the whole idea of there are different philosophies, and it's no one way is better than the other, it's just a different way of doing it and what feels comfortable. But from wearing, traditional shoes with an elevated heel, or even wearing high heels, for most of your life, you're used to having your heel elevated. So going to a shoe with a slightly lower offset with like Hoka or Altra will definitely feel kind of like you're dipping back a little bit at first, just because you're not used to that. What I usually would even recommend to sales floor staff is walk around a little bit barefoot or with just in socks. It's kind of like resetting your senses and getting used to walking on a level plane. And then when you get into the shoe, it feels like what you're already used to. It's kind of like smelling the coffee beans at like a candle shop and resetting the senses. So, when you're picking out a shoe, making sure that you have a good amount of cushion similar to what you've been wearing in the past or more is usually a good kind of transition into a lower drop shoe, like whether Hoka or Altra there. So.
Thank you. Got a question? It's a related question to the shoes. So does it matter what kind of, if I have
This is
custom
a question
orthotics,
coming
does
in.
it matter what kind of shoe I get? So she's repeating the question for them. If I have custom orthotics, how much does that affect what kind of shoe I need?
Okay, custom orthotics definitely affects.
They're clarifying.
Still waiting for the question. Is that
Okay.
okay? All right. So the question is, does orthotics actually determine the kind of shoe you're going to wear, and does that affect what your choices will be? That's where we take our experience of, we're going to look at the orthotic that you're using. Some podiatrists, physical therapists, people who've made those orthotics have put in a little bit higher heel or a little bit of a metatarsal arch. Every one of those orthotics is a little bit different, and some of them will fit in certain shoes much better and perform much better with the shoe, okay? Because we can't just strap an orthotic on the bottom of our foot and run around. You got to put that in a shoe, and really it comes down to what kind of shape the orthotic is and what extra pieces or arches or lifts the person who made the orthotic put in there.
Joan, I'll add a little bit. Sometimes an orthotic, sometimes the orthotic has more volume than what we call the sock liner. So the sock liner in a shoe is this part that comes out. It's the manufacturer's insert. Usually if a custom orthotic is full length like this, and you put that custom orthotic on top of a sock liner, it's taking up too much volume, and so you don't have enough volume for your own foot. So some shoes are lower volume to begin with, some shoes are higher volume to begin with. And so yes, it does, the orthotic and how the orthotic is it super, super rigid or is it semi-rigid? That does have an influence on what type of shoe is going to accommodate the orthotic. And so it's kind of a, we have to go through the process and try this one. And when you go through that process, you'll know, oh yeah, this one feels a whole lot better with my orthotic than this one.
Okay, that's a great question, and it's something that we're working with all the time because we do so much work with the local podiatrists and physical therapy clinics, throughout the city. Okay.
Let's see
Any other
if
questions?
if you can wrap it up, John and Danny, and then we'll see if there's any other questions. Because we want to try to wrap it up by
Okay.
about 6:40, 6:41.
Okay, I was actually going to move towards questions now. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll see if there's any out from the crowd.
okay.
Are there any questions from in here?
I would like to know if you want to clean them other than just wiping the exterior, can most of these be washed in the washing machine and air dried or no?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's a great question. The question is for cleaning your shoes, because number one, they get muddy, they get dirty.
Take care of 'em.
Okay? Do not ever put them in a washing machine. Okay? Most shoes are put together with glues that just the tumbling around in a washing machine will break some of that down. The best way is just an old-fashioned hand scrub brush, and typically what we'll use here if we need to clean up a shoe is just dishwashing liquid. The dishwashing liquid is going to break down any of the greases or extra soils that are into the shoe, and not foam up as much.
Take the sock liner out.
Yeah. So you want to pull that, what Susan was saying, pull that sock liner out, okay? And then hand scrub the shoe. And you can put some newspaper in there to help, soften some of the moisture. But as I was began my talk, these materials now in shoes, you don't have to put it next to heat. Pretty much they're going to dry within a few hours. As long as you didn't plunge them, in a bucket of water and get them soaking wet. If you've got it just kind of scrubbed out the top, rinse it real quick, it's going to dry. It's just in a matter of a few hours.
If you do have to get it completely wet because it got super, super muddy,
Yeah.
just get it all clean the old-fashioned way with your hands, and then, soak up that initial moisture, like John said, with newspaper or an old rag, and then let them air dry.
Okay,
Yeah.
Just let them air dry.
perfect.
Okay. Any other questions in the room here? Okay. Any questions
No questions
from the crowd
there.
out there?
Out there, no,
Okay. All right, I'm gonna let Susan jump in here. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Thank you to Danny, thank you, and John, appreciate that. Okay, so this is the last night for dark, because then daylight saving is this coming Sunday. So let's be safe out there, be safe. And remember, practice taking your heart rate either here or here. And that's what we're going to talk about next week, is using heart rate as an effort as your exercise guideline. So see you out there. Have a great week. Oh, and by the way, if anybody is not receiving the homework or the updates via email, please let me know so I can help troubleshoot that.
It's